today is Women's Day and we have a lot to celebrate, but we also have a lot of work to do. What does today mean to you?
Absolutely. A very good morning to everybody who's joining us at home, and we really want to say thank you for staying with us. Yes, we have a lot, Naz, to celebrate, but and we also have to really commemorate the women of 56 who 69 years ago stood up for a particular injustice. But right now, we too are standing up for a specific injustice, and that injustice is the safety of women. The fact that there are women in our communities here in Guguletu, in Nyanga, in Mitchell's Plain, people are not feeling safe. And so ours really today is to, one, commemorate, as I said, the work that was done by the women of 56, but to say that this is our current struggle. Our current struggle is that we are not safe. But even when women do report cases of GBV at the police station, the DNA backlog is sitting at 140,000. That means that those are 140,000 cases that could have been resolved. Those are 140,000 cases that could have brought dignity and justice to those people who have been violated. And so really the acting minister of police, as he steps into his role, this needs to be a priority for him.
I couldn't agree more with you, Siviwe. Something has to happen because we are at the edge of literal life and death. You spoke about Guguletu, Nyanga, Mitchell's Plain, Kailicha. Why are we specifically here in Guguletu today?
We're here because, you know, the reality is that this remains one of the most unsafe communities. Of course, the city of Cape Town has done quite a lot. The city of Cape Town with the provincial government has done a lot to make sure that there are at least 1,300 LEAP officers who've been deployed in these high-risk areas. But still, we require SAPS to come to the party. We require SAPS to make sure that when people do go to police stations, that they're not ignored. When people do go to police stations, that their cases and they are taken to safe areas, and that their DNA evidence is not lost or mishandled, so that there can be prosecutions. Nazli, it's one thing for people to be arrested, but if people are not prosecuted, that becomes a problem. There are people and women and children in this community who walk and live alongside their perpetrators. It cannot be that there are people who are sitting here with your perpetrator in the same community because they have not been prosecuted, because the docket has gone missing. That's the crisis we are highlighting, because that is something that can be solved with the fixing of the justice system, so that dockets don't go missing, so that women can be able to get the justice they need. Also, it's important to send a strong message that says criminals have nowhere to hide in our country, that they should not be violating our women.
Absolutely. Siviwe, let's talk a little bit about your role in basic education. You've been in the GNU now for a year. Can you tell us some of the work you're doing in schools to make sure that our kids are safe?
Absolutely, and I mean, our children remain one of the most vulnerable members of our society, and so even in the Department of Basic Education, there's a lot of work that we need to do. Number one, we've signed an MOU with the South African Police Service so that we can have visible policing in our schools, so that children can be able to be, we don't see criminal elements in our schools, so that SAPS can come in and do searches and seizures, so that we can make sure that those children who wanting to be criminals are removed from our schools. We're also working very much with the Department of Justice to make sure that those who come in contact with our children in our schools, they are vetted against the Child Protection Register, against the Sexual Offenders Register. We're also making sure that provinces are using their money to make sure that there's scholar transport in our schools, because it also cannot be that children are still walking in unsafe areas just to try and get to school. Provinces must spend their money, and they must spend it well, and that children must be able to get scholar transport in so that they can be safe in going to school. You can't be violated as you're trying to get an education.
100% Siviwe, and oftentimes we see that children find themselves in very vulnerable positions, from inside their homes to traveling to school, to getting back to school. So can you tell us a little bit more about the whole of society approach that you're taking in your department?
So even with the MOU we've signed with the SAPs, we've made it quite clear that we cannot win this war alone. We need parents, we need SGBs, we need communities to be able to say we will not allow a scenario where our children are abused, because there's only so much government can do. But if communities don't join us in the fight, then we're not going to win this fight. And also we're saying that we should expand. For instance, one of the things that we are proactively doing is expanding psychosocial support to children who have been violated. Because of course, children must, even though this horrific and heinous act has happened to them, they need to still be supported psychologically. And so we are offering those things, but we can't do this alone. We need you to call out problematic behavior. We need you to make sure that when you see violence, you say something, you report it. And on our end, we're going to put pressure on the police minister to make sure that these cases are dealt with.
So important. We have to stand up for each other, and we have to be there for each other, and we have to protect each other. Siviwe, sometimes it's very difficult to look at hope and to feel hopeful for our country. But if you have one message of hope you can leave with our viewers, what would it be?
I want to assure the people at home that this issue around safety and safety of women and children is not an issue that we are going to leave behind. We are going to continuously raise the matter, but also we're going to use people who trusted us on the 29th of May. They lent us their vote. And so we're going to say to you that we are going to continue fighting for you. Even in the corridors of power, we will not leave your issues behind.
DA at